talk about this whenever, so anybody feel free to contact me. And this is a joint rules and ordinance and finance issue that's coming up. It's our trash ordinance and how we're gonna handle enforcement of that moving forward. So as we all know, we now pay a trash fee in the town of Winter because the bill in capital waste went up upwards of $1 million. We don't have $1 million sitting in the town budget. We're now trying to work together as a joint subcommittee to figure out how we're gonna enforce this moving forward, recycling, overage bags, things like that. The last thing I will talk about, so that's currently what we're working on, coming down the pipeline, recommendations from the Charter Review Committee. The Charter Review Committee is something that happens every 5 years. Council President Lettieri requested that we did this last year. Council President Lettieri requested that it happens again because of the complications we had with COVID. And I sit on that committee. We've met every Wednesday since January. And next Wednesday, July 13th at 6:15 p.m. in the Hy-Vee room, there's going to be a public forum surrounding the Charter and Ordinance Review Committee. There are 6 proposals that are on the table right now.
Do you want to do something fun?
Let's do something fun.
Wait, what are the 6 proposals?
We're about to find out. Oh, I'm glad we got an interest one. We got one that's interested. All right, so here we go. We're going to do all 6. I'm going to give you 30 seconds after I say what it is. Not even 30. I'm going to give you 15 seconds after I tell you what this ordinance is. And you're going to either say all in favor, say aye, and you guys have to say aye if you like it. If you don't, say nah. All right? So let's do the first one. Go ahead. Do the
Changes to the size and term of the town council. This would effectively bring the council down to 7 members from 9. And it would limit the term of councilors from 4 to 2 and increase the term
Mayor.
of council
Wait.
president from 2 to 4.
Wait, no, that's too much. All
That's,
right,
that's in one proposal. That's how this is proposed.
That's on line 1. All right, so on line 1, let me just break it up. I'll summarize it. You guys,
Yep.
you're going to have to say all in favor, say aye, or all opposed, say nay. To this line, to reducing the at-large councilors in Winthrop so that we would have a total number of 7 councilors, not 9. I'm going to give you 15 seconds to count down on.
How many at large? How many?
We're losing the 2
No
councilors
at
at large. 0 at large. All precinct councilors.
Oh.
Nay.
We didn't have 50 seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Wait.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Whoa. All right. So the second part of that was term limits. They are proposing
Term length.
term length, because there is no limit, right? Can you keep on being a town
Keep on being
council
elected.
forever?
No.
Keep on being a town council forever?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So,
That's true. Okay, yeah, right. Okay. So, this is we are going to, this should be 3 different things.
It should be.
One line should be different things. So they are proposing that the town council president term would be changed from 2, which it is currently, to 4.
Is it 3?
That's 2. So I give you 10 more seconds, and then I'm going to ask you.
former town council president in the room.
The implications are the town council president would have a little more time to get shit done, not to be fresh. But the opposite side of it is now you have a bad town council president that's running the town into the ground. Might be a little too much power, already a lot of power, but there is some benefits to being able to have long-term vision.
I refer my vote to Mr. Gill. He served, he should know.
Yes.
I know, right? We have a former town manager.
He doesn't
Town
know.
council
He's
president. You did 2 terms. You are you're one of the few of all the town council presidents. Not everyone made it. That's 2 terms. That's right. So you're in a rare company.
Move the vote.
All right. All in favor of extending the town council president's term from 2 to 4 years, say aye. All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
I would say that's a 40 to 50% representation.
That's 100%.
No, we've got no yays, no ayes, but that doesn't mean that there are people not in favor of it.
Well, for the people who voted, it was 100% nay.
That it was, yeah. All right, so we are making progress. All those in favor of reducing the town councilor's term from 4 to 2 years, say aye. Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Town
we
councilors,
already did
not
that.
presidents.
Oh, not
We're
presidents.
reducing the town councilors from 4 to 2. It's a complete reversal. This charter review suggestions are a reversal of the terms.
So that's the first proposal.
So we got a
That's a
staggered,
that's a rotating thing, so you want to have
staggered,
everybody come in
yay,
and out?
support.
Can we vote
And
again?
Or.
Vote again.
All right, let's vote again. So now that everyone knows,
What?
all those in favor of reducing the town councilor's
Precinct
term,
councilors,
the
yeah.
precinct councilors, from 4 years to 2 years, say yay. So, and then those opposed?
No,
Nay.
that's a
All
handball.
right, so that was a little
That's a bit of handball.
there. All right, you guys are now our poll. We're doing early polling here.
This is early poll.
We got a beacon poll that says you guys are gonna lose.
Yeah, you have a
All right,
raise,
go ahead.
raise
All
your
right,
hand.
Number
next
2 is the addition of a recall ordinance, so effectively what this would do is it would allow the public to create a petition to remove an elected official, in this case a town councilor, before their term is up.
What about school committee and other office?
I am not sure, it's an elected office holder,
This doesn't,
so it includes the school committee.
this proposal is limited to you can't do it within the first 6 months of the term beginning or the last 6 months of the term ending.
If you have
So this is a
2-year term, it makes
recall,
sense.
for those of you guys chit-chatting in the crowd, I'll reiterate. This is a recall vote. So this is allowing the town to be able to remove someone in office.
Is there a cause?
Well, yeah,
What would the
Oh,
cause
hopefully
be?
there is.
There's no cause.
You'd have to get a petition signed.
This isn't a witch hunt.
Like
Correct, why?
egregious behavior?
It sounds like a witch hunt if it's not right after the election.
It could be a witch hunt. It could be someone's agenda to get at people,
To be determined.
but it also could be for good reason.
But you don't have those defined yet.
A recall is usually it for those.
They don't, most recalls, you don't need a reason.
Right.
Can I ask if there's any kind of like stipulation in terms of petition signatures needed?
Nope, that has not been ironed out. It's just the idea of a recall. Are people for or against? And I will say, I am one member of this committee. I am not for or against any or all of these things that I'm reading. I'm just sharing the information that is being brought up.
You have no
Have your
opinion?
own opinion
I
on some of
have
them.
my own opinion on one of them, which I will share, but I will let you know what
After
I
the
put
fact.
forward and didn't put forward. But just for full fact.
So do we have a possible yay, nay thing?
Yeah, the recall. Do people like the idea of,
It's too ambiguous.
Too arbitrary and ambiguous right now. I'll put it to a vote. There is something to be said about someone that doesn't have any shame, will just keep on staying in office regardless of how bad they are, how bad they're hurting people.
That's what
So-
elections are for.
That's what-
And that's why 4 years is a long time for someone to stay in
Yeah,
office
but if
doing
you
more
change
bad.
it to 2, you don't
Change
need
it to 2.
So that, yeah, so those in favor, it makes that previous vote a little more important if you change the term, you know, anyway. All in favor of the ability to recall town councilors, say yay.
Yes.
All opposed?
No.
Nay.
Yeah, based on some contingent variables.
Okay.
All right, so we have some support.
Number 3 is
Well,
abandonment
yeah,
clause. So right now, the
I
council
thought that
has an abandonment clause where you have to miss half of the regularly scheduled meetings in a 12-month span. This is looking to reduce that to if a person misses 3 consecutive meetings or if they fail to appear at half of the regularly scheduled meeting in a 3-month period. So making it, holding people accountable, showing up to meetings. That's-
Basically, if you miss 3 meetings,
If you miss 3 meetings in a row, you are subject to
you
be.
could go on sabbatical, you could be on a long trip somewhere, you could be ill, that's it. 3 meetings,
Consecutive.
I will say, just so
or
you're,
3 meetings within a 3-month period, which
is like half.
is 3 meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
2
half.
meetings in 3 months,
Yeah,
come on.
so we're only doing 2 meetings a month. So yeah, that's half.
I don't think it should be discussed, I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I will say this, though, there are some wrinkles to that, some gray area, and that would be, if you were on sabbatical, they just, by the way, extended the whole hybrid COVID kind of, we need to now do the in-person and Zoom for every public meeting.
Well, there's pushback.
There's pushback, but that's what was just designated as law.
But it's,
You can
we
easily
start
just
this
raise
board.
So anyway,
Go ahead.
to a vote. You guys ready? All those in favor of the ability to
Increase
abandonment clause, where someone could be not there for half their meetings in 3-month period could be removed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
It should be further amended to say that the whole council, for instance, if somebody's sick.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
council Should have the.
Exactly.
Right, that should not be a part of that,
It's
right?
ultimately gonna take a 2/3 vote of a majority of the council, so that's the situation where you can say to your colleagues, hey, you know, I was dealing with something,
Right.
you know.
Or you don't even have to say it,
You don't
we
even have
would
to
say it
say
on
it,
your
but-
behalf.
Okay, you didn't say that before, so it's voting.
We're trying to give you the.
With Barbara Bishop's compassion, we revote. No, we don't. We got it.
Number 4 is the removal of a use variance. So right now, the town of Winthrop has a use variance that is enforced by the zoning board of appeals. And some use variances that could be applied for is when you want to have a commercial use in a residential district, when you want to put a multiple dwelling home in a single family home district. Right now, these types of variances go through the board of appeals. By removing the use variance, and in line with Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, those decisions would go through the planning board and then ultimately voted on by the town council.
So would the Board of Appeals essentially be eliminated?
So the board of appeals would still opine on matters of, you know, I want to put a swimming pool in my backyard. But it's-
Smaller, minutiae.
Right, exactly, but the more neighborhood affecting developments would go through the planning board and then the council versus the.
Can I just delineate on this a little bit? There has been so much overlapping and problematic kind of like delineation of responsibilities with the two boards that I think there definitely needs to be clarification. And so this does help, and I would say strongly encourage people to.
And what I've heard is, at least what's been debated in our committee, is that Winthrop is one of 13 communities in the 351 in Massachusetts that have this use variance. So we're already kind of in the minority of
Deep
how we're
minority.
doing things, right? 13, so
Yeah.
that's.
Sounds like a no-brainer. That's one of the first useful, really like practical, like lower end kind of project.
We'll wait till we get to mine.
All right, ready? So what did you say? All in favor?
All in favor of removing the use variance, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
It's one of those minutiae.
One example, by the way, happens to be down on Fremont Street with the project that's going on right now, and the crowdiness that has happened, that was approved by the Board of Appeals for Mr. Young to put up this building adjacent to the Cross residence, which is a historic structure, is dated on the front of her building, and due process and public exposure and other advertising about what that project was all about never was really made. I have never seen it. If somebody has evidence of it, I'd like to see it, but there's really a clash that's going on, and some of that came through the Board of Appeals. So there's an undercurrent of abuse that's happening within the town, and his property and his project is not the only one where that's happened.
I have noticed that there has been some situations where the planning board has declined things and things are still getting implemented.
Correct.
So including that building right there on, right next to Nick's, that had I believe, a cease and desist order temporarily. I don't know if they're back in operation, but there was some.
There were people working there. yes.
So there's some things that need to, like the line of command needs to be clarified.
Exactly.
There shouldn't be any gray area
Right.
for who's in charge of what and who reports to who.
Exactly.
I am gonna ask that we deviate from this for a few minutes, because I think some folks need to leave, and they came here to make some specific public comments, so.
That's a great segue.
As
I feel
the
same
chair
way, yeah.
of this, Joan, I'm gonna request that we kind of just take general public comment, and then I will stick around if anybody wants to hear the other couple, but just real quick, one is the formation of a water sewer strategic advisory committee. Another one has to do with Airbnbs and short-term rentals in town, and the other one has to do with the licensing board and the sale of alcohol. So if you wanna hear more about that,
Those are good stuff.
you can
Those
come
are
talk
all-
to me
those
after
are
this,
all
but
good.
I do have an inkling that some folks came here with a specific topic to bring up,
It's
so.
nice of you,
Yeah.
a sensitive guy, feeling the room energy, I like that, I appreciate that.
Did you bring these people or they came on their own?
I swear to God, we have now quadrupled the last town council meetings attendance, and then thanks to people like him. No, I will say that if that's true, that people wanted to make any kind of public statement, I would say that you guys both, a few of you mentioned at the old middle school.
Pastor Siegel, right?
do you guys wanna talk about that? Cause my whole topic is the old middle school.
That, we saw that was your topic, so that was really what we came here to talk
Well-
about. So, we gotta talk about it.
Well, I will tell you, I mean, I can tell you what I know, and so I've gone through pretty much every historical document ever published, or created that regarding the old middle school, and there seems to be some consensus on plot lines of what is, parkland and what is, plot. And that plot is being surveyed, we have the town manager now getting surveys done on that plot, and so that there actually can be a developer that goes in and wants to buy it. And, but there's also potential for someone taking it as is and not doing any development. So as of right now, we're still as if we're at ground zero, like we just got out of it, 7 years later. It's so unsettling for me, because I'm in precinct 2 and I've seen that eyesore for a long time, and I'm thankful that my kids are in a great brand new school, and they went through the whole new school. My kids have literally been, every year they've been in Winthrop Public School, it has been in a very good school, brand new or close to. So I'm very thankful for that, but that school is an opportunity cost of around $200,000 to $250,000 a year, and that's not even including the revenue you can get from it. There is some short-term thinking, there's some long-term thinking. Last time we had this same event, you guys weren't here, but we had another, all in favor say aye, all opposed say nay, to all the different ideas that have been on the table so far. And I will tell you right now, there is some, the locals usually represent very well because they're gonna be the ones most affected. But there's also, you know, the construction, the 5 years of debris and moving around, and there's this constant, you know, interruption in their life. So they obviously have a voice and they have a very big concern, and they should be heard and they should be addressed. But there's also the big picture for Winthrop, and what is the best solution? What is the best long-term solution? Because I think that there are people that might want to just say, hey, just, you know, leave it as is, get some renter in there, and just deal with it. And then there is the other end of the spectrum, which is the big pie in the sky, which is like, what can we get in there that makes that Winthrop, like for me, a dream come true? I'll be honest, I'm not gonna quibble about it. I would love a community center with a pool, a 12-month-a-year pool. That's what kids need. There isn't enough gyms or recreation space in this town as it is. We're competing and fighting over, you know, the old middle school when we don't have a second gym in the new school. So that middle school is underrepresented. They need a gym. And in general, the kids in this town need a place to go hang out and do something other than cause trouble. Or, I mean, video games is fine. I'm fine with that. But anyway, that's my own personal, you know, MO. Do you guys, I mean, they wanted to,
Oh, go ahead.
did you guys, does anyone want to speak? Lieutenant Rogers? Can I call you by your first name?
Steve,
All right.
please do.
All right, thank you. It's not on the clock.
So, we run a youth center. Real quick on the, I don't know how the council feels, it's always kind of a mystery on, we voted, I was there the night they voted to take the rink out of the whole plan and everything a couple
Right.
of years. And now I hear that vote wasn't real and all kinds of crazy
Right.
stuff. First of all, real quick about the rink, because I'm not here for the rink, but real quick about the rink.
Right.
It's almost 100% Winthrop residents use. That is so unique. I'm into skating, I'm into rinks. But if you look around the state, go to other rinks in other communities, look around the country, very rare you see that, because it's a community-owned rink, and it's 90% used by the people in this community. You talk about a pool, for a skating person, we already have kind of like a pool. All the people, the 15 to 20% of people that use the skating rink in Winthrop live in Winthrop. And it's an enterprise fund that we support in keeping the black. I'm also on the rink committee. So just to get that out, I'm very interested in how the board feels about keeping the rink and keeping it positive. But I'm not here for that, but I wanted to get that in.
Right.
What we're here for is we have a Shannon grant, a youth grant. And this is another area that tends to not get funded. The underprivileged youth of the town, And we're fortunate enough to the police department, we've had a Shannon Grant Youth Violence Grant, and we've had an open rec on Friday nights.
Right.
And we do a number of other things, we do a youth academy, we do several things with it. Over the years, we've grown to more, we've pulled away from enforcement and gone into the social aspect of it.
Partnerships with CASA too and other
And
organizations.
we partner with CASA and other, the Youth Providers Network.
We've helped out with like
Um,
the Santa Claus.
So we're
shoes.
with the Youth Providers Network, actually, the topic came up at the yearly breakfast, the meeting before, that we should discuss a youth center and how to get that to you people as a discussion point. Now, because I know this middle school land there's, you know, someone of you, I don't think we can build something that we can tax, like real estate tax, our way into more revenue for the town. I think, in my opinion, it would just kind of break even. So how do we use, and we already have that, that's our property and our land. So how do we use that for the underprivileged youth? Because they are in this town, and they kind of go invisible. And we've been working with them the last several years intensely, and it's really been wonderful. I just want to be their voice, and I want you guys to know that, like, a youth center is something that is our priority in this, and that's why we came here tonight.
I think that's beautiful. I do. I honestly appreciate that immensely. And did you want to say something too? I mean, I think that just when you said to your first part, just if you don't mind me
Yeah.
responding.
This is your topic.
I would say, much like the public safety building, the whole old middle school site needs to be done with best solution possible mentality, like a comprehensive review of all the options and be professional about it, but with this caveat. I think there will always be ice time in winter. There will always be a gym that's open. So if we were to try to, like, even if there was a possibility, like, I remember that, the Eruzione rink was to be taken off the table. And I thought that had gone through, but apparently it's still on the table. That doesn't mean that there's never gonna be a rink that people can skate on. And I think that you're right, honestly, about the whole utilization. 90% utilization period is amazing. 90% utilization of Winthrop residents in your own town, that's incredible. So I think that's, speaks to how important it is to have a local rink. But it doesn't mean that we can't move the rink and have a rink being built while there's a built being active. There's a possibility that there's a big picture of using hockey as like a state-of-the-art place, where people can have two levels. There could be a rink, there could be a level above. You guys have seen on Route 1, there's a place that has two levels. There's a lot of different places. So that's a possibility. We're gonna have professionals make the best decisions and advise the best things. But what I would think, and I don't think that I can speak for everybody, but I do feel as though there is a overall sentiment that Winthrop's a hockey town. To take a rink out of Winthrop is like stabbing ourselves in the belly. It's like it's done. It's not realistic. So I think that no one should have to ever worry about having a rink in town. And as far as the other stuff, I think that having a community center for kids is noble, and especially the ones that are underprivileged. And I think that it's something that is definitely at the heart of the way I look at it. And there are people that have a good understanding of what Winthrop is. Everyone on the council now understands what Winthrop is. It's a family bedroom community that's safe, that people love, that's beautiful. It's a hamlet outside of Boston. And it's gorgeous, and people want to keep it that way. There are some growing pains with being a small but growing town, and we're going to have to deal with them. We already are. Just fixing problems that we already have is a pain in the ass, but it's something we have to deal with. And I think that community center serving the underprivileged kids is noble, and we will take that to heart. And I think a collaboration and an off-the-table conversation to kind of get some more galvanized relationships is important here.
You did mention
Yeah,
public
done.
comment.
We already have, too.
John?
Yeah, just real quick, because we have to
Diane?
go get to our kids,
Yeah,
but
public comment,
it
please.
sounds like there's some surveys going on, and can we make sure that these suggestions like get to the surveyors, whoever those people are? I don't think we're aware of who's doing a survey or what have you.
there's not like a ton of surveys being done.
Okay, well, whatever.
This is just an informal, just kind of
Totally.
colloquial.
Isn't there a committee that reviewed the ordinance that had these questions about, do you want this, do you want that, do you want this?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yes.
We don't have any
I don't think
public
we're there.
professional
Oh,
surveys being done.
Oh, that's what you
so
said.
ordinance
So-
review, I guess it's a different purview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would just, we have to go, but I would just like, I would love these like suggestions because they're perfect to
Well,
get to that.
he's on the board of
bottom.
CASA, and I'm here on the board of
Steve.
Oddfellows, and we want to make something like this happen. So, let's just take this.
It's really beyond the underprivileged
No.
community too.
Yeah.
It's all the youth
Yeah.
in the community and what's going on online with kids right now. It is the time to do it from the increase in crimes against children that's happening online. They are at home playing games and on social media if they're not out doing something. It's a dire need in this town.
John?
Peter?
I was very disappointed when the council voted that whole parcel to be CBD modified. CBD modified, and then left the rink, which I think, I like the rink, I like the gym, and I like the auditorium. I don't like a building like one on Somerset Avenue to go with the middle schools. I think whatever goes there should be compatible with the neighborhood. If you look across the street, there's a two-family and a bunch of singles. If you look across Waldemar Ave, there's two singles. If you drive up Waldemar Ave to Pleasant Street, there's a series of two-family houses that are really, really beautiful. I'd like to see that developed residentially, at least where the old middle school is now. But just that building. Now, if we could go further to the center, but at least that would be, it would be residential, opposite residential on Pauline Street, residential opposite on Walcott. I think my initial dream was to have it open space. I know this, but I also talk about, is it going to create all kinds of money? It's not. It's because we're going to have increased public safety. And I shouldn't mention the schools because I know somebody who works there, but I see that that we could have a need for some new schools. We have 9 new kids in our neighborhood, and I see more and more people coming in with kids. We may need a new school, and maybe that's going to have to go there. What I don't want very firmly is, in my opinion, there should not be a multi-story building built where the middle school is.
So to acknowledge what you have said, I understand that your priority is to have residential opposed to residential. So what's already there, so having 2 families ideally would be your dream.
Right.
I will tell you, this is our last big parcel. This is Winthrop's last chance to get, I mean, there's other parts of Winthrop that could go up a little, but we don't have anywhere to go. All we can go is up. So this might be our opportunity for a home run, depending on how we do it. It also has to be done in a way where it makes Winthrop happy. So I will say, it's ideal to have only 2-level building across from what is there now, because it is already a 3-level.
Right.
So I mean, to go downward in term, it's unlikely to go downward.
It's limiting,
It's
it's extremely limiting to have
yeah, it's-
multi-family homes, no community center, no mixed use, no, it's the most limited use of that parcel as possible, and that's why we added to CBD to open up those opportunities for working with her.
Right. Bill?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the budget every year, the single biggest problem in this town, as a town government, is lack of revenue. People do not want to vote for overrides, I don't think, to increase their own property tax. So you really have to significantly look at increased development in this community if you're going to try to afford things you want. If we had a commercial base, we could do a lot of things that we want. I mean, I would love to see a lot of these things. I'd like to have a new public safety building. I'd like to have, a newer rink probably would be better. Community center, all these things we'd all love to have, but there's no way to afford it. Right now, we have a hard time affording the government we have right now. That's why people are leaving for the jobs here, because we can't afford to pay.
Well, let me do some basic numbers for everyone so you get a better understanding of the situation. So right now, we have a $200,000 loss, and that's for just being vacant. When you have a building there, so there's been a bunch of proposals so far, and that's what we did last time, and it was kind of fun. We did the yay, nay thing, and so one of the ideas was to put like 5 gorgeous, like boardwalk homes, like beautiful homes that would be of high value, giving property tax back. That would now add around, let's just ballpark, I'm just throwing these, don't hold me to these numbers, but the range right now is around 250 positive after getting rid of the 200, so now it's at 450, 500, that's for the houses. Then the condos, and then there's hotel, and then there's also really big development with the rink moved up the hill. So anywhere from like a swing of 500,000 to a possible swing of $1 million. This is taking a negative 250 or 200 to a positive 750 to $1 million. That changes a lot of things. So I'm not saying that we should go skyrise. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just telling you what is possible right now under the current zoning. And the point I'm trying to say is $1 million difference is the difference between your water rates being obnoxious. It's the difference between having a DPW that can make things beautiful or having a safety. So I'm just saying we have to keep in perspective the real dollars it costs. Go ahead, Steve.
I keep hearing like a new rink and keeping something in perspective. Like, has anyone done a survey on how much a new rink would cost?
Yes.
We have a rink that right now makes a little money. We have a rink. We have a gym. They're old, but the buildings are solid. Tweak.
The buildings are not solid, they're outside of code, they're not up to code, and they have to be
I
demolished.
think maybe they have to be demolished.
That's what we've heard from
Particularly the
developers.
auditorium has to be more.
The auditorium
So-
here.
The
so-
sign one has to be demolished, the whole thing?
There's an actual report, I can find the report, send that to you, but
Well-
it's actually the report that was generated by Bob Carroll's group, I think back in 2017. The master plan.
CBD master plan, yeah.
Yes, and that details every single thing that, all the money that would have to be put into it, the buildings need to come down.
So the rink needs to come down.
No.
Like,
Outside the ring.
outside the rink, okay, because I was gonna say,
No,
thank you
no,
for your
no.
honesty, because I finally got honesty.
No. This is good.
But-
I would have been shocked.
So
if
this
I
is what
had
I'm saying, though, this is what I'm saying, though, if you say, hey, if we do this, we're gonna have $1 million, but then you're saying we have to buy a rink, well, you know how much a rink costs? So we have a rink.
It's around
That's all I'm
12,
trying to say
$13
to
million.
people. We have a rink that is in the black,
Yeah.
that needs a little TLC, but it's in the black and it's ours, it's public and it's ours. And then I hear talk of a new rink costs a lot of money. So you're talking maybe all the money you're gonna make from selling this off, put into the rink for the next 15 to 20 years, when you already have a rink. That's the point I'm trying to get across to people, is that,
Well, let me just ask you this.
you already have a rink.
But Steve, here you are with your exact parameters. Choice A, keep rink, keep barely in the, like a little bit in the black with some TLC. Or choice B, I'm not saying this is what's gonna happen. I'm not even saying that it's, I'm just saying if you had this choice, if you found out that you could have a state-of-the-art rink with 2 levels and have a Ruggerio bringing in tournaments from around the freaking country and world and have this CBD buzzing, hopping, booming, like all the restaurants are at capacity, and this place is like a place to be, and our kids are always still getting their ice time, wouldn't you consider choice B?
That's like when I go in for a raise and I say 777, I'm done with the town saying we can only afford 2. That's a dream.
It is.
Honestly,
But so is the community center
I'm
with the pool,
trying to-
and I'm dreaming.
I'm trying to, like I said, I love it right here in the pool. There's pool people, there's people that would love that.
Oh,
Like, there's a certain percentage that love that.
Right.
There's a certain percentage that already has a rink,
right,
and they love it.
right.
And it doesn't cost, it's in the
You know
black.
what, Steve, you bring up a
Give it a
great
little,
point. And I'll
give it a
just,
little
I don't-
TLC. it'll be there.
No, you made your
So,
point very clear. I
like,
will
that's
say
a
this.
dream. I'm involved in that dream. I was on that committee that was on that. I'm on the RIN committee. Listen, I'm into that dream, but you gotta be realistic.
And I completely agree. I mean, I try to keep it grounded and real. That's why I have a wife. But I will just say this. I'm
We have a
gonna
what, a life?
keep a wife.
A wife.
But in reality, in government, it comes down
What she
to
said.
a vote. A percentage of people are gonna feel one way. And you know what? Ultimately, it's not down to me or Steve or Tracy or even Jim or Jim. It comes down to the people's opinion, and we will actually get a decision made. Whether some people are gonna be happy or upset, it just comes down to a vote, a majority. And that's what it's gonna come down to. No, there's nothing that I could have presented tonight that would make everybody happy for a plan for the middle school. What it's gonna come down to is a democratic process of a vote. And this town will move forward,
So,
and
yeah,
that's how this town works.
the way that, I'm sorry, go, Joanne, go on.
Well, it's two quick points to your, I know it's an arbitrary figure about making $1 million, but as you brought up, there's an offset of services and things that would be required of the town to service it. But the other point of the vote, about having a vote, is I think it should be a ballot question. You want a democratic process, let's put it out to the town.
I would love that, a referendum.
Yeah, what they want to see done with that middle school, rather than, a small group of people, a little select
Referendums
committee.
do cost a lot of money, though. Votes cost money.
So the way that's, I'm glad you
I
brought
have
up
my hand
procedure.
up.
Jack, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. John, concerning the documentation that you said you have, I presented to the town manager 20 pages of documentation concerning Riverside Park. I hope you, and it's available at the clerk's office, and it's available at the manager's office. So I hope you include that documentation with whatever documentation that you have. Mine's printed and it's available at the town hall. The other thing you mentioned was the manager and the survey. I suggested in 2017 to the original group that wanted to change the use of land at Ingleside Park for possible development or otherwise, municipal building, whatever the case may be. There's been many people that want to use it for different things. Documentation I presented to the town manager, it's 20 pages saying that Ingleside Park was established in 1902 and it's still a park area, excluding the middle school site, which is approximately 1 acre. So as far as documentation of history is concerned, the only thing you can do at the area of Ingleside Park is develop that 1 acre. The rest of it is parkland dedicated in 1902 with documentation by the town and many other concerned people. You mentioned that the town manager is conducting a survey.
He's getting bids from different
Oh, so-
surveyors
so let's
to
just-
create a legal document that developers can use.
I suggested to the original group in 2017 that you survey the property so you know what you have. It was just until the last couple of months that the town manager, or the acting town manager, Terry Delianti, after 5 years of my saying at so many different committees, commissions, and council meetings that you have to have a survey. Finally, it was agreed upon that that land should be surveyed. I'd like the town manager or the town council to keep the public abreast of any type of surveying that goes down there, so the town people can understand what the intentions are for this piece of property.
Can I speak?
Yeah, you go, I didn't take as much time as you, John, but go ahead, speak.
You want to get up here, Jack?
I said my piece.
In response to that, as long as I'm in the town council, we'll be kept abreast of that survey process, because that's super important to me. It seems like a no-brainer for any kind of RFD or any developer to go in there.
5 years, John, don't say it's a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer to me. I can't believe that's not been done already, but Tony Marina's already on it.
So, thank you.
Can you give me
I
first
was
and
just
last
saying that Ingleside Park is absolutely gorgeous,
Mary.
Mary, yeah.
Mary.
Mary Christophe.
Mary.
Watch out for her. Watch out.
We love Ingleside Park, but as you were saying, like, this is the last big parcel around. And so, I mean, one thought we had, you know, the rink, couldn't we separate the gym from the rest of that? Because it's working really well right now. It was just renovated, it was like 2015 or something for,
Bathrooms are dangerous, but there
Well,
does need
so-
to be,
right, so
the
you
court
can get
itself
it
was
to-
redone just last winter, I think. The wood's already coming up again. I use it all on regular. But it does,
we're down there every Friday night. It's been a huge success for
I
all
think
the
it's
young
wonderful,
kids.
those are awesome.
They roam around, they've got nowhere to go, and they stop us. They're like, when are you gonna have the open rec? Every Friday night we held it. So, you know, if we could expand upon that, it's a beautiful thing. Like, we already have the basketball, we have kids just hanging out. We have in the back, we have like arts and crafts, and, you know, we envision bringing in like artists and music.
I thought Casa had a bunch of dance
Yeah,
parties that were
Casa,
well
yeah.
attended too. It's in that
Talking about the
same,
same kind of thing, yeah.
But so, if that could remain somehow in the vision of the development, I don't know, separated somehow?
Or just a piece of the development,
Yeah.
because you
Sure.
recognize that you need the revenue,
Yeah.
but
well, we need the
But a
space
piece-
too.
you
for the
need
kids.
the space for kids, exactly, and that's an investment in the town.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
It's a key location, right in the center. That $1 million vision that you put out there is really beautiful, but it almost contradicts how you opened it up, that everybody on the board understands that Winthrop is, you know, family land, bedroom community, and the way you speak it, it sounded like kind of Vegas-y, you know?
No neon lights.
But, you know, you just gotta remember the kids, I mean, we all grew up here, and this has been the same argument over and over and over. Like, at some point, somebody's gotta, you know, bite the bullet and,
Right. Well, that's what I'm trying to do is like, I don't want to necessarily be a spearhead for any particular cause. I do like the idea of a hotel and it is CBD, so you need to do some business. But regardless of what I think, it's not about me or anybody, it's about what the town thinks. Ultimately, it'll come down to a vote, and I think that even if it's representation through the councilors and the precincts, or it's an actual referendum like you were suggesting, that'd be awesome. But it's gonna come down to a vote, and people are gonna be happy, and there are gonna be people that are unhappy, and the plan will work, hopefully, and it'll be the best thing for Winthrop. But we do have to just do something. Do something. I mean, it's unbelievable.
No, in terms of process though, let me just, so last year, under Council President Boncory, we zoned that parcel, the middle school, the auditorium, and the rink,
Right.
that CBD zone. So that sets the metes and bounds for what you can and cannot have there.
It's mid-rise, right?
Yes, sure, you can do that, it's CBD zoning, just exactly what you have across the street. What the next step is to create an RFP. An RFP is a set of values that we want as a town. Council President Boncory appointed an RFP committee. There hasn't been any additional information on that up until this point. We haven't really discussed the middle school recently at the council. So the RFP committee, whether it's gonna be the same group of people that Council President Boncory appointed or a different group of people, their job is to hear this type of feedback and create a list of values and talk about the things that we want there. Because the town isn't gonna go and you know, our DPW, the 7 folks in the DPW, they're not gonna go and build a youth center there, right? So this is something that's gonna have to go out to private development. A developer will look at the RFP and it's gonna, you know, we haven't even touched it yet, so we don't know what it's gonna say. But it could say something like, you know, we want a youth-focused element to this. We want some community space, and we will allow a hotel, or we will allow single-family homes, or we will allow multifamily homes. And it's gonna be this sort of horse trading. A developer's gonna have to come in and say, yeah, I can do that. I can give you, you know, your youth space, I can give you a pool, I can give you a nightclub, I can give you a casino, whatever you want there, but, you know, it needs to make sort of financial sense. So we talk about who's gonna make the decision. Ultimately, yes, the council will vote on what happens there, but really, we're gonna put out this RFP, and we're gonna see what comes back. There may be they put an RFP in 2017, it was very vaguely written, and we got no bids on that side, nobody wanted it.
That was also part of the
So-
whole problem with not having a survey. You don't
Exactly,
have
because there
definable
was
land
no
that's
survey,
legal
there
to
was
just-
no dirt study, there weren't enough parameters in there, and that was before any of us joined the council. So again, this is something that needs to make sense in a lot of different ways, and it's gonna take someone, a developer, to kind of take a risk on Winthrop, right? And I think that's why what we did across the street in the CBD was huge, because that set the groundwork. It's like, this is the level of quality that we're looking for. You know, we have these brand new sidewalks, we have these water pipes, hopefully things won't flood as much as they used to. I mean, that's sort of the first step to entice someone to come in here and help in some ways. So I'm not gonna, John, Tracey, and I most likely won't sit there and vote yes, swimming pool, no basketball court, yes, rink, no on new locker rooms. I like the locker rooms the way they are now. You know, no on the new toilet in the rink. I like the toilet in the rink now. We're not going to make those decisions. What's going to happen is we're going to be presented with hopefully more than one proposal from multiple developers, and we're going to have to sit there and choose and negotiate with the town manager. And so that's how this process is going to work. But really, that RFP committee, that's where we put our list of values together as a community, and that work hasn't begun yet. So we're still. The zoning is there, that's great, that was a huge first step, it took a year to get that done, and we did it throughout COVID, and that's awesome that we zoned it. That was the first step that had to be zoned, no matter what we did. If we leave it exactly where it is right now, it's now zoned appropriately. It was zoned residential A, which is single-family homes, and there's not a single-family home on that property. So we updated the zoning so that it's consistent with what's there now, and it can be consistent with what we want there later. But when we develop this RFP, that's really the community's opportunity to put our values and our wish list together. And so I think for procedure, that's the direction we're going. Again, Council President Boncory appointed an RFP committee. It hasn't met. We have a new town manager.
Will it still be in existence if President Boncory is gone?
I'm not sure. I think you know, the council president and that was also two town managers. So there's a lot of rejiggering that kind of needs to happen to get this project in motion again. So that's sort of my understanding of the situation.
Yeah, I just want to make one comment in that you don't want to come up with a wish list that's too restrictive.
Correct.
For developers, because I think what you want to do is you want to create a menu of options so that you can say these are a variety of things that we would like. How can you put them together and maybe in different ways? Because if you come in too restrictive, you may get either not many proposals, or you'll get such limiting proposals that you won't get a lot of value out of it. So I think you have to, it would be great if everybody could get what they want, but I think you say, okay, well, what about this?
A developer usually comes in with a set number of units that they need, a set number of parking spots that are required, and a dollar amount. And then they get like, whether they have to clear it or we give to them clear. And then we ask for our add-ons, and that's usually all they're looking for, is units, parking spaces, and space, and then
Yeah, but
they
you
say
could have
yes.
different options. You just said
Joanne?
hotel, condos, apartments, houses.
My understanding is that it was rezoned for mid-rise, which can have up to 10 stories.
No, not
No,
this
it's the
go.
same as
Mid-rise, by definition, has that. But that's what I read, but the
No.
planning board said, no, we're only gonna recommend like 4 or 5 stories. Even though technically, I think if you look up the definition of what a mid-rise is, it could go up to that. That's my understanding, I could be wrong. But my other point that I want to make is I think it's really important to have these meetings larger, like this, larger. They did this like 5 years ago after the committee, 2017 committee, had, you know, a few proposals or 2 or 3 proposals. They did it in the high school auditorium. They presented to the town, and there were a lot of people that showed up for that. There were over 100 people that were in that auditorium. Were you
I was
there?
there.
Yeah.
For Austin Faison and his
No, I don't think it was Austin was there yet, I don't believe, was it? I don't remember him being there.
by the way, I mean, I agree with you on,
Yeah.
obviously, that's why I like this, we get more done. And sometimes we get
So, I mean, just
that.
to have that community input, so you hear
Sure.
And overwhelmingly, that crowd in the auditorium did not want these big proposals.
No, and Joanne, so when we wrote the zoning code in 2020, we had multiple meetings. I don't remember how many, but we actually hired a consultant to come in and organize these meetings. So to give the planning board and the council some opportunity to hear from the public to write the zoning code. So that happened for the zoning code. If it doesn't happen for the RFP, then we're doing it completely wrong. The RFP should not be put together by, 3 people in a room with no public participation. So like, it needs to be a community-driven document that goes out. And so that's, I think, the opportunity there. And we can talk about it whenever, but it hasn't been on a council agenda, so it's, I'm appreciative of this opportunity here.
Yeah,
Jackson.
it's easy.
Thank you, Steve. The reason you didn't get any responses to the RFP is because people that are in the business of development know that that area is parkland. That's number one. As far as what you can build on the site of the middle school classroom is not 10 stories. Your ordinance say it's 48 feet with provisions for parking. So I want to just clear that up so everybody understands that it's not 10 stories. It's 48 feet, however you want to devise it. And in my opinion, you can only put a 48-foot building on the 1 acre of land that the town owns, which is the middle school classroom site. Otherwise, the land is Ingleside Park. And you can debate that any way you want. If you want to change the use, you can change the use.
You'd have to go through a town council vote, which then would go to the
No,
state
you have to-
legislature.
You have to go through conservation, you have to go through Parks Commission, then you have to go through town council, then you have to go through the House of Representatives, then you have to go through the Senate. 5 different people in order to, if you want to take that route. If you do not want to take that route, and you decide to sell Ingleside Park, then you put all your grant money forever in jeopardy from the state and federal government. Because people have spent money from grants on that park and otherwise. So you put all your grant future in jeopardy, because what other city and town would not want to take Winthrop's share of grant money to do the right thing with the money? If Winthrop wants to sell a parkland, then the other, people that run the other towns are going to say, Winthrop spent grant money, $1 million on the park, and now they're going to turn it into 100 units of housing. So everybody will work against us because they say, well, they don't go by the rules, so we're going to take the grant money. That's a big, big issue, grant money, and following the rules that are written by the state as far as Article 97 disposition of land. You don't want to go through the rules, you can do that.
That is the part of the rules.
If you don't want to go by the rules, you don't have to go by the rules, but you put in jeopardy all the grant money that comes out from state agencies.
The appeal of grant of parkland to become town land for the use of development is written in the rules, that permit process to get it appealed. So that is part of the rules.
Well, if you read Article 97, I realize people don't like to read because I've attended meetings and they don't want to go by the rules. But read the rules and then go by the rules.
Was that even on the table? They're gonna take part of the parkland? I never heard that before.
Yes.
There is a possibility, so the actual land that our gym is on, and the auditorium, and the rink are all on official Ingleside parkland. So we have buildings on there now. So which is, when you think about it, what is the rules of parkland? We're using it for recreational purposes for both the auditorium and the gym and the rink. They're all recreational. So do they fit within the rules of parkland?
No.
Because it's a building. So it's a lawyer's debate. It's not for us to discuss here. Hey, I wanted to thank everybody for coming. There's plenty of drinks and snacks left if you guys want to mingle. If you had a good time, give me a round of applause. Get Steve and Tracey around. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.